Dan Kasper Show is on the air. Your radio dials of 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Also available online, sportstalk1051.com, where you can get the YouTube live video stream. You got your Google and Alexa home devices, and, of course, the Sports Talk app. What up, everybody? Hopefully you all had a fantastic weekend. Maybe able to get out and enjoy the weather yesterday for sure. Gorgeous day yesterday, but appreciate you making us a start, part of your start through a brand new work week here. And well, if you're a Brewers fan, you're probably feeling fairly good, right? Brewers taking the first 3 of this series against the Rockies. Some dramatic fashion in a couple of these games. Friday, extra innings. Took 13 innings, but the Brewers getting it done. 9-4 victory on Saturday, and then a little bit of a back-and-forth affair yesterday. But the Brewers putting up 3 in the bottom of the 8th and getting away with a 10-9 victory. So they've clinched the series, going for a 4-game sweep tonight. We're going to see Aaron Ashby on the mound, and Aaron Ashby getting a new contract from the Brewers. Perhaps the Brewers taking a page out of the Freddie Peralta book, where they gave Freddie Peralta that new deal a couple years ago. A lot of questions like, oh, why is maybe Freddie taking the money now, but maybe he will outperform that contract, but perhaps getting that little bit of security right now. Brewers looking at that's what it first reminded me of when it was announced that Aaron Ashby got a new deal, similar to Freddie Peralta from a couple years ago. So, as Aaron Ashby said, hopefully he will outplay that contract. But I think that kind of signals that Aaron Ashby probably, most likely, never say never, but probably won't be involved in any potential trades by the trade deadline coming up on August 2nd. So, but Hunter Renfro, what a weekend for him too. I mean, a home run in every single game, couple hits in every single game too. I mean, the dude is on fire in this series. Yeah, 2 hits every single game, including a home run every single game. 2 RBIs, 3 RBIs, 2 RBIs. That equals 7 RBIs. So that man seeing the ball really well right now. But the Brewers trying to get that 4-game sweep before they got the 2-game series against the Twinnies at home starting tomorrow. Then they'll start a weekend series against the Boston Red Sox. Brewers holding on to a 2.5-game lead in the division right now. Thank you, Reds, for taking 2 out of 3 so far against the Cardinals. So thank you for that. It's getting a little help there in the standings. But your thoughts on what you saw from the Brewers this past weekend, coming off of the All-Star break? Your initial thoughts, your initial reaction. Can't start it off any better, right? Wins are the only thing that matters, and, well, they've won every single game so far. So your thoughts on that? Start hitting me up on the Shoe Doctors bullpen line with some texts, all right? 715-830-1912. Little nugget here with those Brewers. 8 of the Brewers' 10 runs batted in from yesterday came with 2 strikes, and 5 of the Brewers' runs also came with 2 outs. Clutch hit it. Execute it. Also, Packers news. We're getting closer to a training camp starting up here. Veterans officially have to report tomorrow, although quite a few of them were in town this past weekend. If you were paying attention on the social medias of like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, including Aaron Charles Rodgers, checking out the soccer game that was at Lambeau Field Saturday night. Aaron was there. A bunch of other Packers veterans were there. But the news that David Bakhtiari, who was also at the soccer game, but the news that David Bakhtiari will end up on the PUP list, the physically unable to perform list. The first initial players that were being put on there, he wasn't on there. The first 9, like the Tunyons and the Elton Jenkins, even the Christian Watsons. But next day, it was reported that Bakhtiari will be on the PUP list to begin training camp. So what does this mean? Initially it's sheer panic. It's like, what the heck? And you're like, oh, you just feel bad for Bakhtiari. Like, oh, it's something's going on with the knee. We've talked to Dr. Crow about it ever since last season and his recovery and him talking about the fluids and all that. I mean, didn't sound good. And now you add this on that he's not gonna, at least right now, not gonna be on the field come Wednesday. So worst case scenario, glass, half empty approach is like, oh boy, is he gonna be ready? He's not gonna be ready. Is he gonna be good to go? It don't look like it. Glass half full approach could be something as simple as Green Bay just being extra cautious. We know Green Bay's medical history. They're very cautious with players. It could just be from the simple fact that, you know what? They're going to put them on the PUP. They are going to put them through some workouts throughout the first couple of days, few days, week of practice, see how the knee responds to that. And if it's good, there's no swelling, there's no fluid buildup, whatever. If it's good, then you can activate them. The reason why a PUP list designation, a physically unable to perform designation right now is key is because if there is a setback, you can't put him on the PUP list if he already started to practice. So say Bakhtiari goes out there on Wednesday, first day of training camp practice, Wednesday or Thursday, and something pops up with the knee. Or something different happens with another injury or whatever. You can't put him back on the PUP list. You can't put him back on the physically unable to perform list. Why does that matter? Well, if it's something that, how many times have we seen maybe a player who's coming back from an injury overcompensates and has an injury to the other side, to the other knee or whatever, like Jordy Nelson, remember when he came back from an ACL, he had another, the other knee, had some issues with it during training camp and preseason, that sort of thing, and he was able to go, but it could just be like a strategery. I like that word, strategic thing by Green Bay. It's like, we're just going to cover our butts. We're just going to, we're going to take this slow. We're going to go out there. We're going to throw him out there and do some workouts, do some individual stuff, see how the knee responds. And if it doesn't respond well, we're going to keep him on that PUP and we're going to keep working on it until it does start to respond. And maybe that goes into the season. Hopefully not, but it's a way for Green Bay to potentially protect themselves from a roster spot when it gets to the regular season. You know what I'm saying? That's the glass half full approach. That's the fingers crossed. All right, they're just going to test him out the first few days. Because remember, in OTAs and minicamps, he was there, but he was part of the rehab group. So it could easily be that, first week of training camp, they're going to put him through some rigorous workouts and that and see how that knee responds. Could just be that. Could be as simple as that. That's the glass half full approach, right? So we'll see. But it sure seems like, and the thing is with the PUP list too, he could come off in one day. He could come off in a week. He could come off in a couple weeks. There's no time limit on this during training camp. He could come off at any point. Any point. Same for all these other players. That's the other part of this equation too. He could come off at any point. But we know we won't see 69 on the field most likely on Wednesday there. So it's another waiting game. It'll be patient. I will be curious, though, when we're over there for practice on Wednesday and Thursday, is to see exactly what he is doing while practice is going on. I remember a few years ago when I was at the first day of training camp practice, and that was when Brian Balaga was coming back from, I believe it was an ACL injury. But he was also, wasn't expected to do anything, wasn't on the field with the team. But as I was watching practice, he snuck out with a trainer to the side, suited up, pads and everything, and he was working off to the side. Trainer was putting him through some drills and all that sort of stuff. And all of a sudden, like, the media didn't see him right away. Like, it was a surprise that Balaga was there and doing that stuff. And all of a sudden, they caught him, and a few of them started running down there and taking pictures, tweeting about it. It's like, oh, Brian Balaga's off to the side doing that. Could be the same thing. That's what I want to see, like, at these practices. Balaga, or what is Bakhtiari, like, doing? Maybe he'll sneak out and they'll put him through some of those similar drills to what, like, Balaga was doing a few years ago. And then, it ended up being Balaga was ready for the start of the season. So, again, glass half full approach, right? Hopefully that's the case. But, yeah, we're inching closer and closer to being down there for first couple days of training camp. It's starting to kind of kick in. Is football season starting to kind of kick in for you all just a little bit? It's starting for me. It's starting to kind of get a little bit real, and I think being down there or over there, I should say, and maybe seeing some football and hearing the pads and all that good stuff, that'll really kind of kick in here. But I think it's starting to kind of register here a little bit, just a skosh, right? So it is a Studs and Duds Monday too. So if you got any studs and duds, send those babies on over with a quick text at 715-830-1912. Anybody or anything making your studs and duds list, I want to hear it. Okay, send those babies on over. But let's get things rolling here this morning. We're going to talk a little baseball to kick things off. Brewers, good weekend so far. Taking all three. I shouldn't say so far. Our weekend's over with. Taking all three. First three games against the Colorado Rockies. That series will come to a conclusion tonight. First pitch at 7:10. But what was your thoughts from what you saw from this Brewers team over the weekend? A little dramatic in a couple of games there. Brandon Woodruff, Corbin Burns, Eric Lauer, the starting pitchers from the weekend. Josh Hader gave up a run yesterday, still got the save. Hunter Renfro is hot. We got an update on Freddie Peralta. And we're getting closer and closer to the trade deadline. We'll tell you some more potential rumors and reports out there, if there is anything, surrounding the Milwaukee Brewers. And what do you think about the Aaron Ashby contract? Because I have to imagine that means, again, he ain't going to be a part of any potential trades by the deadline. That's just not going to happen. So are you good with the Aaron Ashby deal? Inking him to a 5-year deal. 5-year deal. And he has club options for 28 and 29. Club options. That's the key right there. Just 24 years old. He is 5-9 with a 4.56 ERA and 2 saves in 31 games. Just 31 games in his major league career. 16 starts. Can you see Aaron Ashby and Freddie Peralta maybe, I don't know, being the future top 2 starters for the Brewers because maybe they can't afford a Corbin or a Brandon Woodruff? Is that kind of them just Brewers maybe protecting themselves a little bit? I don't know. But what are your thoughts on that? So, okay, let's get things rolling here this morning. Take that first break. Wisconsin Credit Union leadoff coming up next. Recapping a good weekend for the Brewers.
The Dan Kasper Show will be right back after these words.
You've got a take on today's topics, but can't.
For our fantasy football leagues, we got a couple of them up. So all you have to do is go to our website, sportstalk1051.com. Click on the Nation tab over there, and you'll see the fantasy football sign up thing there. So got a couple leagues going. Still need probably about a couple of teams per league there. So if you're interested, it's free. We'll give away some cool stuff and all that. And trash talking is included in these leagues. But sign up, and then you'll get an email from me in the coming days with registration info and all that good stuff. So interested in hanging out with some fellow listeners and playing a little fantasy football league, just again head to our website, sportstalk1051.com, and click on that Nation tab and sign up, and you'll get an email from me in the next couple days here. But back to the really quick before the Brewers here, answering a quick question about available free agents on the offensive line department. Remember, like Green Bay last year too. I wouldn't be surprised if Green Bay decides to add a veteran. I know that they went heavy in the draft with tackles and offensive linemen, right? They went heavy in there. So maybe they won't. But maybe they also want to protect themselves with the veteran. Remember, they signed Dennis Kelly after training camp opened last year. And he was a starter for the Titans, but he ended up being a backup for the most part in Green Bay. So, and then you had Rick Wagner, before that, but he was, starter there too. But I guess I wouldn't be surprised if they brought in a veteran at some point. And I don't know if that necessarily would mean bad news about Bakhtiari. It could just be that they're protecting themselves. Because remember, Elton Jenkins too. You got to factor that in because Wednesday when practice opens, your starting left tackle is going to be Yash, and then maybe your starting right tackle is Cole Van Lanen, a former Badger, or one of the rookies that was drafted. It's a little bit of like, okay, you got some inexperience with your starting group. That's why maybe I could see Green Bay bringing in a veteran, might be on a cheap deal, and then just kind of adding that protection to them. There's still some notable names out there. Heck, Brian Balaga was in Green Bay. If they really wanted to kick the tires on that one, he was in Green Bay too, checking out some soccer. But you got Nate Solder, started his career with the Patriots, earned a lot of money with the Giants. You got Dwayne Brown. Jason Peters is 40 years old, but he still wants to play. Riley Reeves out there, I believe. Eric Fisher, the former number 1 overall pick. from a few years ago. So, I mean, there's options out there if Green Bay wanted to add a veteran just to kick, keep them or to cover their bases there. But we'll see. And it might not happen until after training camp gets opened here. All right, let's get things rolling here this morning, though. Talking a little baseball. The Wisconsin Credit Union leadoff. Brewers, first game Friday since the All-Star break, picking up a 6-5 victory in 13 innings. They followed that up with a 9-4 victory on Saturday. Brandon Woodruff picking up his 8th win of the season to improve to 8-3. And then yesterday, in a little bit back and forth affair there, Brewers able to get that 10-9 victory, securing a series win. Now going for the 4-game sweep tonight. One of my studs from this for our studs and duds is from this series, and that's Hunter Renfro. I mean, we went through the numbers already for what he did this past weekend. Home run in each game, couple of hits in each game. Dude came out blazing hot. We were talking about during the All-Star break last week, who was going to be that guy? Who was going to be that player on offense that would, have just an amazing second half? Just kind of carry that torch, if you will. And maybe we kind of forgot a little bit about Hunter Renfro. Hunter Renfro was a guy, it seems like this year, whenever he's been on like hot streaks, an injury has kind of flared up, or he's gone on the IL. It's like, he's seeing the ball well, he's tattooing it, he's hitting really well, and then it's like, oh, quick stint on the IL. But Hunter Renfro might be a dude that we might have to pay a little bit more attention to and cross your fingers that he can stay healthy. Because when this guy's been on some hot streaks, they've been really hot. Really hot. You're looking at he's been pretty darn consistent lately too, but you look at his last 28 at-bats, 3 home runs, 9 RBIs, batting .357 with a slugging of .786 and a on-base percentage of 419. You want to expand it to his last 107 at-bats, a .290 average, .361 on base, .551 slugging. So far, when it's his numbers, he is setting career highs. He's above he's on pace for that. He's above his career average and batting average. Right now on the season, he's .257. Career-wise, he's a .239. Career-wise, he's a .298 on base. Right now, .310. OPS, career-wise, .791. So far this year, .827. 16 home runs so far this season in 230 at-bats. Feels like Hunter Renfro, we focus on the Yelich, of course. Everybody's focusing on Christian Yelich and looking at him as being that guy that's got to, catch fire in the second half. Willie Adames gets a lot of attention. Andrew McCutcheon, or should we call him Mick Clutch? And bad joke. But Hunter Renfro, man, maybe he's the dude. Maybe he's the guy that will continue this hot streak and just be the guy in the second half on the offensive side of things. Now that we're talking about it, we probably jinxed it, and you're welcome. But no, he's easily my stud from the weekend. Big-time stud from the weekend. And the Brewers just did exactly, you can look at, it was a little back and forth, didn't shut them out. Yesterday they're up 3-0 after the first, and, a little back and forth there. Yeah, you're right. Eric Lauer, 4 in the third, giving up 4 earned runs. A little up and down there. Gustave, 2 earned runs. Boxberger gave up 2 earned runs. Couldn't shut the door. Couldn't close the deal a little bit earlier, but they battled back. Had a little grit to them. Battled back. Got the W. And the series went. Now, let's get the sweep. Let's get the sweep tonight. But this is exactly what the Brewers needed to do to open up the second half. Get on a hot start right away. Win a bunch of games right away. Get some confidence flowing. Get some mojo going. And they're doing that right now. They have to do that right now. Got a little bit of help from the Reds if we're kind of doing some scoreboard watching right now. With the Reds taking a couple games from the Cardinals. Got a little bit there. They're up 2.5 in the division. But the Brewers doing exactly what we were talking about last week, right? Getting off to a fast start. A hot start. Can't do any better than going 3 for 3. Let's go 4 for 4 for tonight now. Aaron Ashby is going to get the ball for the Brewers. And this will be his first start since a new contract for Mr. Aaron Ashby. Brewers signing him to a 5-year deal, 5-year extension with club options in 27 and in 28. So, as I said at the beginning, it instantly reminded me of what the Brewers and Freddie Peralta did a couple years ago with that contract. You know, signing him up early. Maybe Brewers right now look like they got the better end of that deal with Freddie Peralta. Assuming Freddie Peralta is where he left off, we'll give you a Freddie Peralta update, by the way, in just a minute. First rehab start already. But now it looks like the Brewers kind of got a bargain with Freddie Peralta, but Freddie Peralta at that time probably taking a secure way, taking, secure money right now. Seems the same way with Aaron Ashby. Signed a 5-year, $20.5 million contract with the Brewers, and that 20.5 is guaranteed. An annual average salary of just a little over $4 million. So anybody asking, how did he get a contract already? He's played 31 games in his pro career. 16 of them have been starts. Well, Brewers are betting on the future. They're betting on that he's going to continue to get better. And they view him as a long-term fixture with this team. They're playing a little poker, or they're playing a little bit, gambling here a little bit. It's not a big deal. It's not a big contract, but they're hoping, that maybe Freddie Peralta and Aaron Ashby might be the top 2 starters in just a couple of years, few years. When the price tag gets a lot for Corbin Burns, which we all assume it's going to be astronomical. Brandon Woodruff, he's going to be due for a nice payday. The Brewers can't afford, like we all know, Brewers probably can't afford both those guys. And they may struggle to afford just one of those guys. So maybe protecting themselves here a little bit. And like, okay, we're going to secure our starting pitching with a couple of our youngsters, sign them to some long-term contracts now. Going to approach them, get them signed up, and hopefully they outperform those contracts. Right now, that Freddie Peralta one's a team-friendly deal, and the Brewers and David Stearns are hoping Aaron Ashby will turn out to be the same. Craig Counsell saying about Aaron Ashby, though, he's very early in his big league career, but he's a player that I think everybody thinks can have great success in this league. I'm happy that it kind of worked out for both sides and that he's going to be a Brewer for a long time. David Stearns saying in a club release, we are very happy to reach a multi-year agreement with Aaron. Throughout his time in our organization, Aaron has demonstrated a unique combination of persistence, character, and talent. He is establishing himself as one of the premier young pitchers in baseball, and we look forward to watching his continued growth and success. Ashby saying, this is an organization that drafted me in 2018, and I felt nothing but love, to be honest. These guys have been awesome. Everyone in the minor leagues has helped me. Bullpen coach Jim Henderson has been with me the entire time. I owe a lot of things to him for what he's done to help my career. There's a level of comfort here that's awesome. Aaron Ashby won't be scheduled to be an unrestricted free agent until 2030. Again, player options for those final 2. Or, club options for those final 2. So the Brewers have some pretty manageable, pretty much all control over Aaron Ashby for the foreseeable future at this point. But it probably also signifies that Aaron Ashby is not going to be involved in any potential trade deals, right? He's not going to be involved in any potential trade deals. So anything that we kind of floated, could Aaron Ashby be a part of a package for an impact player? Just take that out the window right now. It's not going to happen. So he's off the table. But I like the deal. I mean, I like the deal. I think we're all hoping, and Aaron Ashby referenced it too, that you hope you outplay the contract. I think every Brewers fan is hoping that. I think the Brewers are hoping that. They're betting on it. Aaron Ashby, is like, ugh. He's got the security now, but he outplays that contract. He'd be like, oh darn it, maybe he missed out on some cash. But taking the security now, everybody's going to be different in their thoughts on that. But I like it for the Brewers because it locks up a couple of their young pitchers for the foreseeable future, protects them a little bit too in case in the next couple of years Burnsy and Woodruff are out, just because it's too much for the Brewers to keep those guys. It protects them where they'll have a couple of youngsters they can hand the ball off to and be the top two starters. Hopefully, that's the best outcome with everything here. That Peralta will stay healthy, and when he comes back, he'll be the old Freddie Peralta that we've seen, and Aaron Ashby continues to just get better. So they protected themselves here a little bit. I like it, and I like how the Brewers, maybe kind of target that and go, make sure they lock up a couple of their youngsters, maybe with some cheaper deals. What they're doing here, what the Brewers are doing here is that they're relying on their own scouting, that they believe in their scouting. They believe in what they see from these players like Peralta and Ashby. They believe that, they can continue to grow and get better. They trust their opinions. They trust their judgments. So they're betting on themselves with these contracts that these players are going to probably surpass them. But they're willing to go in there and give them these contracts early because they're confident within their own scouting. They're confident within what they've seen themselves, that these are guys that could be pretty darn special players. And they want to lock them up. I like it. And I think that's kind of the approach you have to have when it comes to building a team for the Brewers and trying to stay a contending team if you're the Brewers operating under a quote-unquote budget where you can't go out there and spend hundreds of $1 million and always be involved in discussions on some of the bigger name players out there. I think that's the way you have to operate in Milwaukee. Speaking of Freddie Peralta, so yesterday, rehab outing with the Nashville Sounds, he went 2 innings, 1 hit, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 3 strikes. He went 33 pitches in his first rehab start. So getting closer to Freddie Peralta returning to this lineup. Getting closer. That'll be a huge boost in this starting rotation. When he comes back, I don't, even with this new deal, it doesn't necessarily mean that Aaron Ashby is going to be a starter. Remember, Freddie Peralta, after he got his deal, there were some questions. Is he going to be bullpen? Is he going to be starter? Ended up winning that 5th starting spot late in spring training. Ran away with it. Could be the same with Ashby. But he's got, obviously, we went through the numbers, 31 games and 16 have been starts. So, yeah, he's used to getting starts and coming out of the bullpen. All right, we got to take a quick break, but your thoughts on the Aaron Ashby contract. Do you like it? Do you like what the Brewers did, signing him to a long-term deal? Can you see Aaron Ashby and Freddie Peralta in the next couple of years being 1 and 2 in terms of starting pitchers for the Milwaukee Brewers? Just in a couple years here, knowing that, Brewers probably are not going to be able to afford to keep both Freddie Peralta, Corbin Burns and Brandon Woodruff. Maybe not even be able to afford one of those guys. So they're protecting themselves here. But I could see it. I could see it in a couple years that Freddie and Aaron are the top 2 starters. And I hope it works out for Aaron Ashby, that he kind of follows a similar path to Freddie Peralta, where it looks like that he's going to outperform that contract in the early goings. I know another pitcher that we had high hopes for was Jimmy Nelson a few years ago. That injury kind of derailed it, and, never was the same there for the Brewers. But optimism, right? Look at it, the optimism side of it. I like the signing, and I think those are going to be the two future top starters. All right, quick break. We'll be back after these words. I know it's summer, and the last thing you're probably thinking about right now is the fall and River Country Co-op wants to help you put some gas in your tank. It's the River Country Co-op's Senex Small Town Gas Pass giveaway. The River Country Co-op Senex Small Town Gas Pass giveaway of the week for this week. Athens and Cadott. Athens and Cadott. So, well, all you have to do is stop on in at the Athens and the Cadott Senex store this week only to register to win a $50 gas card. No purchase necessary. Don't miss out on your chance to win some free gas. Get to these River Country Co-op Senex stores now to enter. All right, Cadott and Athens, you're up this week. Get over there and enter to win. We got about 11 minutes to the top of the hour here. Let's take a quick phone call. What's going on this morning, C-Bomb?
Well, good morning, El Capitano. And you know what? We will be able to enter myself and Travis from A-Town at that Cadott River Country Co-op come Tuesday afternoon.
All right, there you go. I like to hear that. Enter it up, buddy. Enter it up,
You betcha. You betcha. I am stoked. I am pumped. We are ready to watch some football unfold. Brewers had a great weekend. It was a good weekend overall. A little bit sketchy on the meteorologist. That's a job I'd want to have because my Lord, they had me moving stuff around, trying to not get hail damage, and it sprinkled.
I know. I had to go buy some rebar from the hardware store, and I was bending it and securing Hudson's trampoline to make sure it wasn't going to blow away. And I didn't really need to do that, it looked like. So yeah, that's what I was doing Saturday.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Hey, what's on your mind this morning, big guy?
I'm worried, El Capitano. I'm really worried. And, I happened to be standing there by you when we saw Brian Bulaga come out. And, you and I were like, are you kidding me? That's Bulaga. He's coming out and working out. And like you said, the media had no idea about it. I'm worried we won't see that with Bakhtiari. And I harken back to the discussion you had with Dr. Austin Crow back in January, I think it was, shortly after Bakhtiari came in, played a few plays, and then left, and they drained all that fluid out of his knee.
Yeah.
And Dr. Crow was really concerned that he should not be seeing that much fluid right now, and that he actually worried back then that it could be a career-type injury, a career-ending type injury, and I'm worried that that's what we might be seeing. And so what I'm really hoping, El Capitano, is that we hear something between now and Friday. They comment on it about what's going on, so we could get Dr. Crow's opinion come Friday on what he thinks might be happening. Because, yeah, that's pretty concerning, especially with Jenkins coming off an ACL as well. You can't that left tackle position you can't joke around with. I mean, that's a huge deal. So if Jenkins isn't going to be 100%, is Josh Niemanen the guy we got to go with, or do we have to go get somebody? I mean, that becomes a big deal.
Yeah,
and it's a position that we've taken for granted because we've had a rock there the last almost decade. So yeah, I'm worried about that.
Yeah, I mean, right now, come on Wednesday, if they do some 11-on-11s right away, Yash is going to be your starting left tackle. And if we go based off the depth charts online, which I know they're not accurate 100% of the time, but it's Cole Van Lanen that would get the start at right tackle, or maybe it's Sean Ryan, the UCLA kid that they drafted. They've got him listed as a guard, but he's had his career as a tackle in college, but it's gonna look pretty inexperienced, at least when training camp opens starting on Wednesday. And that's where I wouldn't be surprised if they go out and get a veteran at some point, but I don't know if that necessarily would mean anything about Bakhtiari. They did it with Dennis Kelly last year. We kind of thought, oh, that's going to be the starter. Ended up not being, more of a backup kind of role over there, but we'll see. But right now she's pretty thin without Bakhtiari and Elton Jenkins right now.
Yeah, it's a little concerning. And I think there's a few defense or offensive tackles out there that are pretty decent that are still available. But I'm trying to think of I don't have it right in front of me, but there was one of the guys like 40. He needs a 1-year deal. I just need somebody like Kelly that they had last year that they could plug in and at least slow down the likes of Hakeem Nicks, and a guy that we're going to see, another guy we're going to see twice a year is Mr. Smith, who defected from us last year. So, that position, that could be have a lot to say on how well we do, because if Rogers don't have time, it's gonna be a nightmare. So hopefully they figure something out. Hopefully Jenkins comes back healthy come August, but we'll see.
Yeah,
it's just a little concerning. That's the big thing, the biggest worry I have now, and that's yeah. I was hoping that the wide receiver position would be what I'd be wanting to watch the most this week, but I'm going to be looking at that offensive tackle position.
Yeah, I think that's kind of changed now too. I know we asked last week what you would be kind of looking at once training camp opens, position or player wise, and knowing that Bakhtiari's already not going to be on that field, it changes a little bit. I'm going to be curious to see what he's actually doing though. You know what I mean? Like, is he just going to be in shorts and walking around? If that's the case, then I'm really worried. But if he's doing something like what we saw with Balaga a few years ago, then I'm like, okay, maybe I'm trying to be too optimistic in this, but I'll be curious to see what like Bakhtiari is doing during practice.
Yeah, I'll be looking at that too, and I want to see the same thing with Jenkins. So Jenkins, I'm more concerned about than Bach. I mean, Bakhtiari, granted, he's only 30. He still has a number of years in front of him, but boy, Jenkins has been our stalwart offensive every position along the line for the last couple of years. He's a machine, and I really will miss him if he's not playing this year.
Absolutely. So, anything else on your mind before I let you go?
Nope, just fired up, and my stud of the weekend is the same as yours, Mr. Hunter Renfro, the Rocky Killer. Boy, he was launching bombs, and he just was clutch all weekend. So good to see.
Yep.
Brewers taking care of business, and hey, if they win tonight and sweep, awesome. If they end up losing, well, you were right. You said 3 out of 4. So good job, El Capitano, Nostradamus.
Do you like
Thank you for having me, good sir.
Hey, before I let you go, you like the Aaron Ashby signing?
I do. I actually feel bad for Ashby. I feel like they're screwing him over, because if he continues to get better and better, he's going to be like, I paid, playing 5 years for $20 million when I could be getting $20 million a year. So, it's a good signing. I like it. And here's the question I was going to have. Maybe you talk about it next hour, but you talked about him being off the table for a trade. Well, doesn't that make him more desirable for other teams if they want to trade for him? Because now they know they got a guy on the cheap for 5 years.
It could, or they may view it as, what if he, I think it's still a gamble, kind of like the Peralta one at that time. What if he doesn't continue to improve? What if this is the max we've seen Aaron Ashby, and he's kind of a hit or miss type of player?
Yeah, good point.
But no, I see where you're getting at too. That might be, I think teams will look at that, because he's not scheduled to be an unrestricted free agent until 2030, and he's got club options for the final 2. So, the Brewers control him. Brewers literally, his life is to the Brewers right now. He doesn't have a whole lot to say at this point. Nothing.
Yeah, insane. Good for him. He's got his stability guaranteed, but boy, if he would have gambled on himself, he could he could be leaving a lot of money on the table. But yeah, that's a good work for the Brewers. Another arm that they can rely on, hopefully moving into the future. So good weekend overall for the crew.
You bet. All right, bud. You have a good rest of your day. We'll talk soon.
You too. Thanks for having me, Dan. I'll talk to you later.
You got it. There you go. There's C-Bomb hopping off. So, all right, Packers fans, coming up in the next hour, we'll talk some green and gold. But let me ask you, how concerned are you about the David Bakhtiari being put on the PUP list? Are you more of the glass half empty approach, like, oh, that's it, his career, maybe not that dramatic, but you're really concerned, and there's got to be something else going on, or maybe there was a setback, you're really concerned, or maybe are you a glass half full and thinking, you know what, Green Bay has historically been very cautious when it comes to medicals. Maybe they're, going to put him on the PUP to begin, put him through some workouts, see how that knee reacts. And then, maybe in a couple days, maybe in a week or so, he is back with the ball club. Maybe that's what you're thinking, because, we explained it already, how the PUP list works. Once you have one practice, you can't go on the PUP list. So maybe Green Bay doing a little protection here. just in case something bad happens. So are you a glass half full or are you a glass half empty type of person when it comes to the David Bakhtiari news that he was put on the PUP list to begin training camp? I mean, obviously a lot of people, myself included, when I first saw it on Twitter from Field Yates, was like, oh, crap. But then after those emotions kind of go away and you start to think about it, you're like, all right, okay, let's back up. Let's take a step back here a little bit. And maybe this is what's going on. Or maybe it's just kind of we're trying to make excuses or trying to comfort ourselves or console ourselves and trying to come up with different ways to make ourselves feel better. Maybe that's what I was doing too. I don't know. But what side of the glass, I guess, are you on? Glass half full or glass empty? So let me know. Shoot me some texts or tweets or Facebook or on the YouTube live video stream. Coming up next hour, we'll hit that up. Also, I want to hear your thoughts on the Aaron Ashby deal. Obviously, I think we all agree this is potentially a great deal for the team. It does give Ashby some guaranteed money, $20.5 million in total guaranteed. And I think we're all hoping that he exceeds that contract. But put yourself in Aaron Ashby's shoes, perhaps. Would you have signed that deal? Let's say you are Aaron Ashby. You're putting up the same numbers. You've appeared in 31. You'll appear in your 32nd game today. 31 Major League games. You get offered a 5-year deal that'll keep you in team control all the way up to 2030. Are you taking that deal, or are you going to bet on yourself and maybe try to win some more money? Curious what you guys think.
WAYY Eau Claire. W286CK Eau Claire.
All right, second hour kicking off on this Monday morning of July 25th. Appreciate you tuning in wherever and however you're tuning in on this fine Monday morning. Brand new work week here. Appreciate you making this part of your starts. Coming up in just a little bit, we'll talk some green and gold. Packers, veterans, set to report by tomorrow. Although it looks like some of them came a little bit early to check out some soccer at Lambeau Fields on Saturday, including Aaron Charles Rodgers. I'm assuming he stayed in town unless he flew back for a day or two and it's coming back. I guess never say never. But rookies did report on the 22nd. Veterans have until tomorrow, and then the first day of practice on Wednesday. Anybody else heading to training camp the first couple of days? Let me know. All right, maybe we'll get a little if we get a good group or if there's quite a few of you out there, maybe we'll get a little sports talk kind of get together, something like that. You know what I mean? So if you're heading out to training camp in the first couple of days, let me know. Shoot me a text or a tweet or a Facebook message, okay? That'd be kind of cool. So also we'll get back to some more green and gold talk. Aaron Ashby deal. If you were in Aaron Ashby's shoes, now put yourself in his shoes. Would you have taken that deal? Would you have signed that deal? You get the guaranteed $20.5 million. But if you go out there and you light it up, you could be leaving a lot of money on the table. Would you bet on yourself? Or would you take the money now? Put yourself in that position that Aaron Ashby did. Okay? So let me know. You can, again, text, tweet, Facebook, all that good stuff. Let's do some sports nuggets of the day here this morning. We've got 1850 in Massachusetts. Harvard and Yale University freshmen met in the first intercollegiate billiards match. We've got 1978, Pete Rose broke the National League record for consecutive base hits as he got a hit in 38 straight games. Let's go with 1999. Lance Armstrong won the Tour de France. He was only the second American to win the race. And then flash forward to 2004. Lance Armstrong won his record, 6th consecutive Tour de France. Catching up on a couple of messages from a little bit earlier. Rainman Brandon, great start after the All-Star break. Talking about the Brewers, it's pretty obvious Renfro has to stay healthy the rest of the way. Been very productive when on the field, and hopefully we saw signs of Juan putting it together, unless you still think he could be trade baits. G-Man going with the Brewers sweep today. Surveyor stud, Hunter Renfro, the Rockies killer. We've got Surveyor, we don't need a tackle. We have Sean Ryan, a.k.a. Studley McStutterton. Of course, if you know little history on Sean Ryan and you know a little history on Surveyor, both rugby backgrounds. So we'll see. You know what, again, are you a glass half full or are you a glass half empty approach when it comes to David Bakhtiari? With the news that he's going to start training camp off on the physically unable to perform list, to kind of revisit the rules of the physically unable to perform list. Players cannot go on that list if they've practiced at least one time in training camp. So say David practiced on Wednesday, you can't put him on the you can't put him on the PUP list. You know what I mean? If he practices PUP list, take it away. That's not an option anymore. However, David Bakhtiari with the PUP list, he can, do some rehab and all that sort of stuff, and just can't be on the field and practice in a normal practice setting. So is it possible that Green Bay, who has historically been very cautious at times, most times than not, very cautious when it comes to the medical side of things with players, is it possible Green Bay is just like, all right, we know Bakhtiari wasn't going to see the field at all during the preseason with those preseason games. It wasn't just going to happen. So we're going to be a little cautious here. He didn't participate in OTAs and mini camps. Was a part of the rehab groups there. We're gonna, put him through some workouts, put him through some drills, see how that knee responds. If the knee responds great, there's no swelling. They don't have to drain gallons of liquids from that knee. Then he'll be activated off the pup. That's the glass half full, right? Glass half empty could be, oh boy, something happened. It's just not ready to go. There's cause for concern. Maybe it was a little checkup. He was at the soccer game, so maybe they checked him out and just didn't see anything that they saw something they didn't like, and maybe that's the glass half empty approach. I'm choosing to be the glass half full. I'm choosing to be optimistic here. At first, when I saw the news from Field Yates from ESPN saying that the Packers were going to put him on the PUP list, first day they put the usual suspects on there, and the surprise of Christian Watson being put on the PUP list. I haven't heard what exactly is going on with him, but I did hear that it's not anything serious, back sooner rather than later. So I don't know if he got hurt doing some off-season workouts or something, but you had the usual suspects of Elton Jenkins and Bobby Tunyon, those guys on the PUP list. But then the next day, David Bakhtiari was put on there, which, my first initial reaction was like, oh, crap. I said something worse than that, but I can't say it now. Just like, really? I mean, gosh, what happened? What's going on? Knee's not doing well. Then, after the emotion kind of set aside a little bit, was kind of, all right, let's look at this from a couple different ways. One, could be that worst case scenario, but maybe it's just Green Bay trying to do a little strategy with this thing. They're trying to think about this like, okay, there's no need to like throw him on the field right away to practice, because this guy's costing us a lot of money. A lot of money. Is there a need to rush him out of there right out of the gates? Day one of training camp on the field. Is there that need? Not really. Go back to Matt LaFleur's comments in the offseason just about a month or so ago. He did say that the hope was that David Bakhtiari would be ready to go day one of training camp. But he also said in the same breath that this is a guy who's played a lot of football. He's played a lot of reps. And they're taking it, with caution and just bringing him along and trying to get him back stronger, getting that knee 100% right. But you look at, cap hit for this year, and Bakhtiari did adjust that contract. But his cap hit this year is $13.4 million. He's got a dead cap hit of 35.8. So if anybody thinking he's going to get released, it's a 38.5. Yes, I know it's a post-June. You can do whatever, but still. And then you look at next year, cap hit of a $29 million with a dead cap hit of 23. That potential out could be after 2023, where he's got a cap hit of $32.9 million, but only a dead cap hit of 11.56. So this is a guy that is Green Bay's attached to him for a lot of money, for some big-time cap hits. So they have to be cautious with him. They have to be careful with him. There's a lot tied up in him. He's a focal part of this offense, focal part of this team. So it wouldn't surprise me if they're just taking it slow. Step by step. Stage by stage. All right. Day one, Dave, you're going to go out there. We're going to put you through some strenuous workouts. We're going to see how that knee responds. He did some stuff with the rehab groups and OTAs and minicamps, but this might be the first opportunity for Green Bay to really kind of put him through some drills in that and see how that thing responds. And if it's good, then get you out on the field and take some hits from Rashawn Gary and Preston Smith. But I feel like, just kind of putting him on this PUP list, and again, this just could be me being the optimistic approach and the glass half full, but it's a strategy thing. It's a, if something in those workouts where his knee does flare up or something else happens, they still have the ability to keep him on that PUP list. And they don't have to put him on injured reserve. So I think that's a part in it, in that whole thing. And I honestly don't know if we will learn anything from whenever like Matt LaFleur talks. I don't think we will. I think Matt LaFleur, we've seen enough. We've heard enough from him for the last few years. He keeps it pretty close to the chest when it comes to injuries. He might try to get a little vague with some of his responses. But I think we're all kind of curious. We want to hear from the coach. We want to hear maybe from Bakhtiari. We want to know for sure what is going on. Is it just being cautious, or is it something else? Is there something else going on? We all just kind of want to hear, right? We're all just sitting here like, somebody say something, anybody like scrolling through Twitter and Facebook, and like you're refreshing everything, and you're just like, okay, is there an update going on? Is there something? There was people snapping pictures of Bakhtiari walking around Lambeau Field. Well, how's he look? Is he walking with a limp? Has he got a brace on under his jeans or whatever he was wearing? People are freaking out that way, trying to figure it out because we're playing detective. We got to know. We got to know these answers. So, all right, we're going to take a quick break here. But I want to know, Aaron Ashby, would you have done the deal that he has done, signing that 5-year deal? He's tied up and he's got 2 club options at the end of that deal. 5-year deal, $20.5 million guaranteed. He's not set to be an unrestricted free agent until 2030. Would you, if you were in that position, put yourself in that position? That's the question. Put yourself in there. Would you have done a deal like that, getting some guaranteed money right away? Or would you bet on yourself, saying, you know what? I think I can make a little bit more money. I think I can do a little. I'm going to bet on myself. And in the next couple of years here, I might be like, oh, yeah, I got some, I know I can get a bigger deal. What do you think? All right. Let me know. Again, you put yourself in that position. What would you do? Quick break. We'll talk some more Brewers baseball. Brewers again, taking the first 3 games in this series against the Rockies. We'll try to go for that 4-game sweep coming up tonight, where we see Aaron Ashby in his 32nd career game. That's it, just 32.
You're listening to the Dan Kasper Show.
Your favorite golf outing is back. The 2nd annual Kasper Classic, benefiting Backyard Dreams, will be happening on August 26th at Princeton Valley Golf Course in Eau Claire. For just $90, you get a 2-person team that includes 9 holes of golf, a cart, 6 free drink tickets, and a lunch. This year, we have 2 sessions teeing off for a shotgun start. Tee times are at 10:30 a.m. and 1 o'clock p.m. So give Princeton Valley a call at 715-834-3334 to sign up and pick your session before it fills up. The Kasper Classic benefits Sports Talk 105.1's charitable entity, Backyard Dreams. The 5 goals for Backyard Dreams are to provide and promote opportunities for anyone to have a chance to play, to help anyone overcome obstacles to chase their dreams, to help raise awareness for those in need, to help create opportunities for those to enjoy their passions, and to help those enjoy their life and create special memories. So sign up for the Kasper Classic today. Visit sportstalk1051.com for more details.
From the folks that brought you influencer marketing on the rocks comes remarketing on the rocks with Midwest Family and NaviQuest. What is remarketing and what is retargeting? Your website may be attracting lots of traffic, but are you converting traffic into customers? Learn how to capitalize on lost website traffic at the Brewing Project August 17th from 4 to 6 p.m. Remarketing on the Rocks. This is a free seminar with complimentary beverages and hors d'oeuvres. Learn how to market in a cookieless world. See examples of first-party data to hyper-target potential buyers, target audiences who are more likely to convert, and keep your brand top of mind by strategically showing ads to interested audiences, along with affordable marketing tactics available on a range of platforms and channels. And the nice thing is, this is suitable for every industry and vertical. Remarketing on the Rocks, the Brewing Project, August 17th from 4 to 6 p.m. Register today at MidwestFamilyEauClair.com/ontherocks.
With a wholesale formula seminar, discover how to start your own Amazon business.
Hey everyone, Ryan and Karen Pottinger here.
Because of the wholesale formula, last year we ran our business while we traveled to and lived in 4 different countries.
Hi, Ian Bauer. My first year averaged $45,000 a month in sales. Now I'm at $90,000 a month and hardly working.
Hi, I'm Amy Sherlock. I attended the Wholesale Formula seminar, and I'm now doing $175,000 in sales per month.
Hey, Emric Manello. 2 years after attending the wholesale seminar, I was able to sell my Amazon business for over $400,000.
Whether you have a business and want to sell more on Amazon, retired, or just need extra money, America's Amazon expert Dylan Frost will show you how. Only $49.99 guaranteed or your money back. That's right. Discover the easy way to make money on Amazon with Dylan Frost's The Wholesale Formula 2-hour seminar, Tuesday, August 2nd at 2 p.m. for the greater Eau Claire area. Register at thewholesaleformula.com.
What's something you can't get for $14.99? A ticket for a day at the water park. Something you can get for $14.99? A month of unlimited car washes at Clean and Classy. Something you can't do in 5 minutes? Get through the mega water slide line. Something you can do in 5 minutes? Get a spring clean car at Clean and Classy on West Claremont and off Hastings on Brackett Avenue. Wash your car more than once a month? A monthly pass is going to save you money. Make your car clean and classy.
I'm Rocky Moselle with StarRegistry.com. Since we were children, we've been told to reach for the stars. It was great advice. Now it's a great gift. Name a star after someone. For $54 and a call to 800-282-3033 or visit StarRegistry.com, we will name a star after someone very special to you and send an incredible personalized gift. The new star name will be recorded in book form in the U.S. Copyright Office. Call the Star Registry, 800-282-3333 or visit StarRegistry.com for the hottest gift.
This Thursday night, it's Sports Talk night at the Eau Claire Express, and we've got some tickets I want to hand out to you all. So you want to go to the game Thursday night for a little Thirsty Thursday action, Eau Claire Express taking on the Wilmer Stingers, hit me up with a text saying Express. All right, just text me the word Express, and then we'll leave some tickets here for you at the front desk at the studio for you to pick up. Actually, the entryway, we got a table out there. You don't even have to talk to anybody. There'll be an envelope with your name on there. So you want some tickets, let me know. I'll give you 4 each, okay? 4 each. Just hit me up with a quick text with the word Express, and I'll text you back once it's confirmed and let you know when you can pick them up, okay? But this Thursday night, 6:35, Sports Talk night at the Eau Claire Express. Guy. Hopefully, I'll see you there. So I should note a couple things too with the Aaron Ashby contract. So it's a 5-year deal worth the $20.5 million. That's the guaranteed part. The other part with this thing, if the Brewers pick up his final 2 options, it could be worth $41.5 million for 7 seasons. So a nice little bump for those final 2 years, right? But he is scheduled to make $1 million next year, $1.25 million in 2024, $3.25 million in 2025, $5.5 million in 2026, $7.5 million in 2027. The 3 seasons he would have been eligible for arbitration. So he had 3 seasons. 3 seasons. But this contract eliminates his arbitration years, obviously. So there you go. And potentially with some other escalators on this thing, he could get to about $46 million. Reading some of the details here, that's escalators like innings pitched and where he's finished in the Cy Young Award voting. A bunch of those different ones, but potentially could increase to $46 million over 7 years. And it looks like it's a $9 million team option in 2028 with a $1 million buyout and a 13. Was it? Okay. Yeah, just kind of going through some of those numbers on the fly here. His salaries have a maximum of $11.5 million for 2028 and $15 million for 2029. A lot of numbers being floated out here. Before we get into a little bit more Brewers talk too, but I shouldn't say that, but I was looking at there's an article on MLB.com where baseball executives think Juan Soto will land if he will get traded by the deadline. So again, the trade deadline is on August 2nd at 5 o'clock our time. 5 o'clock our time. So they got a little bit of time left. But MLB.com polled 17 front office executives about their thoughts on the Soto situation and just kind of like seeing where they thought Soto will land. First, they asked, will Soto be traded by August 2nd? The executives willing to guess an offer, 8 of them said yes, 7 of them said no. According to this article, a handful of those polled chose to answer only some questions. They were split on this one, with 8 of the 15 believing the Nationals would trade the star by next week. Another question that was asked, which 3 teams do you view as the favorites to trade for Juan Soto? The Padres got 8 votes to lead all teams. The Dodgers, 7. Cardinals, 3. Mariners, 3. Mets, 3. Rays, 3. Yankees, 3. Giants, 2. And these teams each got 1. Blue Jays, Cubs, Rangers, Red Sox, and your Milwaukee Brewers. So one exec at least thought the Brewers potentially would be a favorite to land Juan Soto. If you believe, another question that was asked by the executives, or asked to the executives, if you believe Soto will be traded by August 2nd, which team will acquire him, and what kind of package do you think it will take to get him? Shrug emoji, no idea, 3. Dodgers 2, Padres 2, Yankees 1. No idea, a National League general manager said, but I'm going to say it's not the usual suspects like the Yankees or Dodgers. Another National League general manager said, my assumption is it will be the best prospect package we have ever seen in a trade, and rightfully so. It's the best player in their prime with the most control that I can recall being moved ever. So this might be, if it goes down by the trade deadline on August 2nd, perhaps one of the biggest trade deals in terms of compensation that we have seen. A lot of prospects being involved in this thing. Well, it looks like it's like everybody's kind of thinking Padres or Dodgers is the favorites, according to the executives. I know the betting odds, or at least they were late last week, I haven't checked them this morning, was still the Mets on there. But again, I just would the Nationals trade him within the division? I don't know. Listen, it's got to be the absolute best package, right? It's got to be the absolute best package. Okay, But back to the Brewers here. So the Brewers are going to be back in action tonight, looking for a 4-game sweep against the Rockies to kickstart their quote-unquote second half of the season. And when we look at the pitching matchups with this thing, we know Aaron Ashby's going for the Brewers. First game since that new deal of his. Not really any experience with the Rockies going up against Aaron Ashby. We got a few players, though, with some experience going up against Kyle Freeland from the Rockies, who is 4-7 so far this year. But these players, they've got some good experience against him. Andrew McCutchen has 23 at-bats and is 304. Hunter Renfro, there's a good chance that maybe his hot streak continues tonight. In 18 at-bats, he's batting 389 against him. When we look at Freeland's last 3 starts, if you go back to July 4th against the Dodgers, he picked up the loss, 5 2/3, 4 earned runs. Arizona on the 9th, another loss, 6 1/3, 6 earned runs. Then against the Padres on the 14th, 4 innings, 5 earned runs. Picked up a no decision in that game. But in his last 3 games, he has given up 15 earned runs in his last 3 games in the month of July. So he's going through a little bit of a rough stretch right here. He's already surpassed the earned runs that he gave up in the whole month of June. Whole month of June, he just gave up 12 earned runs in 3, 4, 5 appearances. So can the Brewers take advantage of that? Can the Brewers take advantage of a pitcher who the last 3 games, he's been struggling here a little bit? Can the bats stay hot? Or is this primed for like a Kyle Freeland, like bounce back start? I like those numbers with Hunter and Andrew McCutchen going up against him. You know what? Why not? I'll pick a sweep. What do I got to lose on this thing? Aaron Ashby coming off of his new contract. He's going to go out there. He's going to have a stud of a performance on that thing. He's going to help lead his team to a W and a 4-game sweep before the Brewers welcome the Twinnies to town tomorrow. Why not? Why not? I'm going to pick it. But I think Hunter Renfro, I know we talked about him in the early part of the first hour, but I feel like he kind of gets flown under the radar here from Brewers fans, us Brewers fans. I'm one of them too. When we were talking about guys who can go on this run in the second half, this offensive run, we're looking at the Christian Yelich. Everybody's going to always look at Christian Yelich to see what he's doing. And then maybe we're looking at Willie Adames. Maybe a little Andrew Clutch in. And then there's Hunter Renfro, who is, I think, quietly having a pretty darn good season for the Brewers. Now, can he stay healthy? There's been a couple times where he's been on these hot runs, and it seems like quick stop on the IL then, on the injured list. Can he stay healthy? And can he, the second half, can he keep up with it? I don't know if he's going to hit a home run in every single game at this pace. I mean, he's done it every single game so far. And I would say the betting odds are probably him not hitting a home run in every single game. But could he be a guy that can lead that charge in the second half on the offensive side? Can he be a guy that, you're plugging in the middle of that lineup, that offensive lineup, and just plop him there, and he's that guy that's going to get, those runs across the board, get those table setters across the board? I just want him to stay healthy and continue to contribute, because so far this year, Hunter Renfro, he's averaging higher numbers than what his career numbers have been so far. OPS, the highest it's ever been. You look at some of the other numbers here for Hunter. Yeah, his OPS is 827 this year. His career regular season 791. His on base percentage 310. Career 298. His average 257. His career average 239. He was kind of or I shouldn't say kind of, he is the Avi Garcia replacement. And when he was signed up and you kind of compared him and Garcia, it was like, oh, those guys are like really similar numbers. Like there wasn't a whole lot of difference in between the numbers with those two. And when you look at Avi Garcia so far this year, he's batting .229, 7 home runs in 318 plate appearances. Hunter Renfro, 16 home runs, 230 at-bats. Hunter Renfro, Brewers got the better end of that one right now with Hunter Renfro over Avi Garcia. I'll take that. But you look at what Hunter is kind of even doing in the month of July so far here. 313, 371 on base, and a 689 slugging. You know, before the All-Star break, he didn't have any home runs in the month of July. But he was collecting, a hit in every game since July 14th. So right now he's on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 game hitting streak. But you kind of break down his numbers all across, and it's been pretty darn solid. Month of June, it looks like he was a little bit down in the average, but May, he was 279. April, he went on a couple of hot stretches there, ended up finishing with a 253 after a slow start. And remember, at the beginning of the season, Hunter Renfro couldn't, buy a hit, it seemed like. Couldn't do anything. But he had historically always struggled at the beginning of the season, of regular seasons. He's been a nice little signing for or I should say trade, because the Brewers acquired him. So yeah, I think that's been a solid move by David Stearns so far this year. And it's a player that I feel like maybe we're not paying attention to as much as we should. But if he continues to hit like he's been doing in this series against the Rockies, and he stays healthy and he stays in that lineup, and he continues to be a run producer, we're going to pay more attention to him. Teams are going to pay more attention to him. Fingers crossed he can be on that field, though. All right, what are your predictions for the fourth and final game? You're going to go with the sweep? You think the Brewers are going to get it done with Ashby on the mound? Or do you think, you know what, 2 out of 3 games, first game, took 13 innings. They got it done. Yesterday's game, a little back and forth action. This might just be set up for a prime, Brewers loss, I guess. You going to go with that? I'm going sweep. Why not? Get the brooms out. Sweep those babies out of there. Sweep those Rockies out of there. This is a fantastic start so far for the Brewers. We were talking about it last week. Get off to a fast start in the second half. Well, they're 3-0 so far. Let's continue the run. Let's start off with a 4-game sweep, and then let's kick the Twinnies to the curb. Sorry, Twins fans, but yeah. Got to go for the Brewers. I'm a Brewers fan first. Sorry, Twins. Take care of those 2 games. Then we got a little trip to the East Coast with the date with the Boston Red Sox to finish the month of July. But I wonder if this is the week 2 that we are going to start to hear some more rumblings. Are we going to start to maybe see some trades unfold? Because that deadline's a week from tomorrow. Everybody's paying attention to the Juan Soto trade. And it's interesting, too, because how much does Juan Soto affect potential trades by other teams? Like we just talked about some of the teams that execs believe would be involved. Padres, Dodgers, Cardinals, those are National League teams. Throwing the Mets as a betting odds favorite. maybe they are standing pat, and I know the Mets made a couple trades. The Mets just got Daniel Vogelbach and a catcher from the Pirates. But, for the most part, maybe those National League teams or some of those other teams in the American League that could be interested in Juan Soto, they may be standing pat and kind of waiting to see how this Juan Soto thing works out. Could that be advantage Brewers? Where the Brewers can be like, all right, we know we're not going to go after Juan Soto, or maybe they're like, you know what, we know we're not going to be able to give them the deal that they're looking for. So while all these other teams are kind of maybe putting together packages for Juan Soto and calling Washington and trying to figure out how to acquire him, maybe David Stearns kind of swoops in here. And he can look at these other teams and all these other players, be like, all right, so-and-so forgot about this guy, or they're not focusing on him right now. Let's get a deal done. Kind of swoop under all these other teams and get some deals done. Could that be advantage Brewers while some of these other top National League contenders are looking at Juan Soto? Brewers can kind of go in and get the other players that were rumored to be potential trade targets that would be a little bit cheaper. Maybe, possibly. If I'm David Stearns, I'm calling the phone. I'm picking up the phone and making some calls. This might be an opportunity for this week to maybe make some of those deals and kind of go under those other teams while they're so focused on Mr. Soto from Washington. Possibly. Because I got to imagine if Juan Soto is traded, and let's say he's like traded, I don't know, this weekend, there's going to be a flurry of moves from those other contenders who didn't get Juan Soto. Say the Padres are able to pull it off. Well, Dodgers might be making a couple of moves to kind of counter that. Like, all right, we lost out on that. Who's next on our Christmas wish or our Christmas list? Who else do we don't want to target there? So they're going to swoop in and get some deals done really quick. Or, maybe he's traded to the Mets or whatever. Cardinals. Maybe he's traded to the Cardinals. All right. Padres, Dodgers, some of those other teams. Who's next? This might be a perfect opportunity for the Brewers to kind of target some of those other players that are now just like second options for other teams. Second or third options. If I'm David Stearns, I'm at least picking up the phone and be like, all right, what's this going to cost? What's this going to take? Maybe trying to get some deals done before that Juan Soto trade, because you get them done and then Juan Soto goes to a different team or maybe he doesn't get traded. Well, those other teams that were just kind of sitting in a waiting pattern are like twirling their thumbs like, what do we do now? They're down to their fifth or sixth options. Well, the Brewers just came in and picked up a couple of nice players there while everybody was waiting on the Juan Soto situation. That's what I would do. But David Stearns is 500 million times more smarter than I am. Probably a whole lot more than that, too. I got to imagine he's had some conversations. Has at least had some conversations. And in terms of like who are they going to target, I got to imagine they're probably feeling pretty, so far so good with Freddie Peralta, because he had a solid rehab start with Nashville. Only threw 33 pitches, but apparently looked good. Well, probably take starting pitcher off of a potential, want list before that deadline. Now you focus on offense. Now you focus on bullpen help. But I think this is a big week for the Brewers. Let's get some deals done. Take advantage of everybody focusing so much on Mr. Juan Soto over there. All right, quick break, then we'll finish up the second hour in just a couple minutes.
The Dan Kasper Show will be right back after these words.
Got a take on today's topics but can't call in? Then hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, or the text line and let your fingers do the talking.
It's the dog days of summer right now, and maybe you've been spending some extra time indoors to beat the heat. While you've been doing that, though, has your mind began to wonder? Are you coming up with different ideas for looks in your home? But you don't want to spend a lot. And what about the items you already have? What do you do with them? The solution? The Chippewa Valley Habitat for Humanity Restore. Stop. Big time shout out to the good people over at Carpet City Flooring Center right here in Eau Claire. Can't stop talking about that new carpet that she got in the living room, the hallway in her house, dude. She can't stop talking about it. Her friends are talking about it. So big thanks to the incredible customer service from Carpet City Flooring Center. From start to finish. You know, when they came over, did the quote, went over some options, and then the install. I mean, everything was perfect. So big thanks again to Carpet City Flooring Center. If you're in the need of some new flooring in your home, business, office, man cave, wherever it may be, Carpet City Flooring Center is your one and only option. That's the only place you have to go to. Talk about amazing customer service, all the different styles and options, whether it's carpet you're looking for or luxury vinyl like the Rigid Max flooring. They got it all. Best prices too. They'll match or beat the competition. So make it easy on yourself when you're looking for that new floor. Go to Carpet City Flooring Center, Wisconsin's premier flooring store. We got about a few minutes to the top. I haven't checked the texting yet, but if you do want those express tickets too, make sure you give me your name too, so I can put it on the envelope. All right. So when you text the word express, put your name in that text too. That way I can put it on the envelope, and then I'll text you back and let you know when they're up and available and where you can get those tickets. Okay. So when you hit us up with those texts, put your name on there. That makes it a whole lot easier. Since we only got a few minutes to the top, I wanted to hit this up here quickly. Did you guys see the potential announcement that we might be seeing from the NCAA about transfer portals? It's possible that we might see this transfer portal get even wilder, allowing it potentially could see a college athlete play for 4 schools in 4 years. The Division I Council had recommended eliminating the restriction against players transferring multiple times. The NCAA Board of Directors is expected to rubber stamp the recommendation on August 3rd. So we thought transfer portals were getting, getting out there, kind of getting crazy. It's about to get a whole lot more crazy potentially. I'll be curious at least to see how some of these coaches kind of adapt to it. Some have started to adapt to it fairly well. Some are using transfer portal. Other programs may be forced where they have to use the transfer portal a little bit more or focus on that a little bit more. But, I mean, you're going to see it from different schools. You might see it from, even athletes that, they go to Alabama and maybe they just want to get on the field, but they know that depth chart is like, holy moly. Obviously Alabama's got, I'm talking football here, a lot of studs on there. You know what? I'm going to transfer out. It's not what I thought it would be. I'm going to transfer and go to a different program. Or maybe you got a program like Wisconsin where they've got their kids, but after 1 year, I want to go closer to home or go somewhere else, transfer out. Coaches are going to have to adapt to this thing now. They're going to have to, change it up or really, change their sales pitch on recruiting trails potentially. Just reading a little bit here more too is that during the next 2 years on a trial basis, programs will be able to sign unlimited amount of players during signing periods as long as they don't surpass the annual limit of 85 scholarship players. All of it has been a look into the slow implementation of the deregulation of the NCAA, this is according to CBS Sports. Because of the academic requirements involved, it will be difficult to transfer more than once as an undergrad. Incoming transfers have to be guaranteed financial aid for the 5-year window of eligibility. I'm glad I'm not like a coach or anything like that. And I know they've got their recruiting coordinators and they got people that keep track of all that, but holy moly, it's a lot of stuff to keep tabs of. A lot. Shout out to all those recruiting coordinators and staff that have to keep track of that. Just reading a little bit more. For one transfer, maybe two, is probably pretty manageable, said a source involved with the council's process. Get into multiple transfers, it gets tougher and tougher. Talking about the academic thing too, and that's the other part. Big Ten Media Days are getting set to start coming up here too. So we'll see this week if anything noteworthy comes from the Badgers side of things. But I know it's kind of getting down to a countdown. You're starting to see, some previews in that, and I think a lot of people kind of focusing on Graham Mertz for the Badgers. Can we see, the Graham Mertz that we saw a couple years ago in Game 1, where he had Patrick Mahomes tweeting about him and that, We're all expecting Allen to do some great things in the running back position. We're, defense with Jimmy Leonard, I think people have confidence in, but we're all kind of focusing on Graham Mertz and how this offense is going to look, and maybe an improvement from the passing side of things. But Badger football, college football season is going to be here pretty darn quick, baby. Pretty darn quick. All right, let's shot clock's going to cut me off here. So coming up just past the top of the hour, we'll do some studs and duds. If you haven't sent over your studs and duds list, you can do so now. I already went through one of them with Hunter Renfro. Got a couple more here. Got a couple of duds as well. But send those babies on over, okay? 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. And then also a couple questions I threw out to you this morning. Your Aaron Ashby, are you betting on yourself, or are you taking that deal that he signed with the Brewers? Getting some guaranteed money now. But maybe you outperform that contract and you're not getting the same amount of money as other pitchers out there. Which one would you do? And are you a glass half full or glass half empty type of person with the David Bakhtiari news of him being on the PUP list? We'll hit both those up coming up. But first, we'll go through some studs and duds in just a couple minutes.
WAYY Eau Claire, W286CK Eau Claire, Sports Talk, 105.1, 790 AM. Sports Talk 105.1 with the very latest local news.
We'll stretch the lens a little bit and go to a different part of the state. Mother Nature leads us off. Authorities say Saturday's storms flipped a camper on its side in Vernon County. It happened Saturday afternoon near the marina at Water's Edge Motel in Stoddard. One person was hurt when that camper tipped, as parts of that area of Wisconsin saw strong winds and some pretty heavy storms move through. Meanwhile, in Milwaukee, they head into a second week with at least a shooting every day. Milwaukee police say 9 people were shot over the weekend, 4 on Friday, 3 Saturday, 2 yesterday. And the shootings mean Milwaukee has seen a shooting each day for the past 10 days. No one died at any of the
of the program, Dan Kasper Show, on the air on this Monday morning. Come on, man. Finish strong here. Here we go. Appreciate you tuning in wherever you're tuning in and however you are tuning in, whether it's on the radio dials of 105.1 FM, 790 AM, streaming us online at sportstalk1051.com, where you can also get the link to the YouTube video stream, Google and Alexa home devices, and, of course, the Sports Talk app. Hopefully you all had a fantastic weekend, and, well, you're ready to hit up another work week here. The final full week in July. Then it's August. Yep, August, kind of maybe getting into a little deer hunting mood for bow season coming up in September, getting a little football mood with preseason. Games going on, training camp starting this week. Kind of a push to the finish in Major League Baseball. You know, August, it's a good month, but also, I don't know, to me it's like, good, the end of the summer and all that, but it is what it is, right? Okay. Coming up this hour, we'll hit up some more green and gold talk. Obviously, some more Brewers talk. Brewers going for the sweep tonight against the Colorado Rockies. Anybody going to the shareholders meeting? Anybody on their way over to the shareholders meeting? I'm not going for Green Bay today. Maybe if it was like tomorrow or something like that, I'd go. But no. Anybody going to training camp? If anybody's heading over to a practice, whether it's on Wednesday or like Thursday or something like that, hit us up. Maybe we'll do a little sports talk get together. I know some of you have already reached out, so we'll see if we can work something out. But let's kick this off doing some studs and duds. So I already gave you one stud of mine, and that was Hunter Renfro. Home run in every single game against the Rockies so far. See if he can keep that streak going tonight. 2 hits in every game. Dude is starting off his second half, quote-unquote second half, on a hot start for the Brew Crew. Easy stud right there. Another stud, I'm going to go with A.J. Dillon. So I know a lot has been made about this thing at the soccer game. So he was going to do a Lambo leap during a rain delay. He had tweeted out that 2 security people told him and helped him come down to the field during the 30-minute rain delay, so he could do a Lambo leap and hype up the crowd. There was a video that an officer kind of grabbed him and shoved him and essentially didn't know who A.J. Dillon was. That's what it was. Didn't know who A.J. Dillon was. But or at least it sure seemed like he didn't know who A.J. Dillon was. But the video caught it, and he ended up still doing the Lambo leap. But AJ also tweeted, just miscommunication between parties. The Green Bay police are great people, and I'm glad we have them down there for our games to keep us safe. Standing there in the pouring rain with all those people, it's hard to know what's going on with just one. All good. So stud AJ Dillon. Stud AJ Dillon. Didn't make it bigger than what it needed to be. Going out there like, no, it's all good, guys. It's all good. Don't need. Everybody was freaking out about it on Twitter. But he's going out there and, guys, it's good. It's all good. All good. So, stud A.J. Dillon. Is A.J. Dillon, like, would you say he's Green Bay's, like, fan favorite? I know it's all about the quarterback, and I'm not trying to downplay or anything like that, but there's always been like a fan favorite outside the quarterback every couple of years or so, right? It's been, like Donald Driver, maybe Jamal Williams you'd put on there. There's been like fan favorites. Is A.J. Dillon, like, if you take Aaron Rodgers out of it, you take Aaron Rodgers out of the equation, would you say A.J. Dillon's like the number one fan favorite for Green Bay? For Packers fans? I mean, this is a guy who obviously he's a big and powerful human being and runs over people for a living, but he's embraced living in Wisconsin. He's loves Door County. I mean, he has ingrained himself in the Wisconsin culture, if you will. So I think he's fan favorite. I mean, Bakhtiari is probably on there too. You know, chugging beers at Bucks games. You can put him in there. Trying to think who else would you make? I know Aaron Jones is a fan favorite, but like AJ Dillon, I'd say he's easily towards the top of that list. No doubt. 100%. But stud of AJ Dillon, all class from Mr. AJ Dillon. All class there. I got it. So this one's a little bit of on a personal note. So yesterday spent a good few hours fishing with my buddy. You know who you are, Mr. Josh out there, and well, stud goes to Josh for catching the bigger fish yesterday. It's hard for me to admit that, but he did catch the bigger fish yesterday. So stud to Mr. Joshua, dud to myself, catching not the bigger ones. We'll just leave it at that. Okay. But it was a good time yesterday. But studs to Josh, bigger fish, duds to myself, not bigger fish, not bigger ones at all. So, but great time to be out for a few hours, getting the lines wet and catching a few fish out there, right? Perfect day to do that yesterday. Perfect day. Got a little burnt, but that's all good. That's all good. Anybody else got any more studs and duds that they wanna throw out there? I might put this out there that duds. I don't know if it's gonna happen or not, but there's reports that the Celtics and Nets are talking about Kevin Durant trade. Oh, I mean, come on. There was a report that the Celtics Brown in a trade scenario, but the Nets declined it and countered. So I got to imagine like the Nets would love Jason Tatum, right? I mean, but I can't imagine the Celtics moving on from him. But it sounds like the Celtics did include Jaylen Brown as a centerpiece. But so far, nothing. But KD goes to the Nets. That's just a dud because I don't want that to actually happen. Other studs. How about the Baseball Hall of Fame yesterday? David Ortiz going in, first career DH to be selected on the first ballot. So I mean, just Tony Oliva going over there too, Twinnies. Good day. I mean, anytime you get into a Hall of Fame, you're a stud. Jim Cott going over there. So studs to all the new Major League Baseball Hall of Fame inductions. It kind of flew under the radar. You know, I think a lot of people are like, "Whoa, yeah, baseball, Baseball Hall of Fame inductions going in." I think it was just kind of quietly like, "Oh, yeah, that actually happened." Again, like the NFL, and the thing is, the NFL and the Pro Football Hall of Fame, they're not like one entity. They work together. So, like, the NFL doesn't control the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but that's why it's called Pro Football Hall of Fame. But that's still, when you add that NFL thing to it, it's going to get all the attention in the world, and it's going to get piped up. But still, studs to all those new members to the Hall of Fame class. Speaking of like the NFL, that you want to talk about them getting, marketing and trying to get bigger and badder. The NFL launched NFL Plus today. Live, local, and primetime regular season and postseason games on mobile and tablet. Live, out-of-market preseason games across all devices. Oh, yeah, preseason. Premium version includes features of products formerly known as NFL Game Pass. So another, streaming thing. NFL Plus available in the NFL app and NFL.com, starting at just $5 a month. Well, if you go with the premium, that's $10 a month. It looks like all features NFL Plus, full game replays across devices, condensed game replays, coaches film, including all 22. That's interesting. That's for $10 a month. Also, NFL library programming on demand. Does that include like all the like the NFL film stuff? If that includes the NFL, I'll have to look into this. But if that includes the NFL film stuff, then I'm interested. Especially like the old school stuff. That includes the curious on that one. All right. Speaking of football and kind of taking a look at training camp starting later on this week. NFL Nation at ESPN, they asked all their NFL Nation writers to come up with a camp prediction. And the NFL Nation writer for Green Bay, or who covers Green Bay for ESPN, is Rob Demoski. And we'll be catching up with Rob this week when we're down over there in Green Bay. But his camp prediction is that Jordan Love excels. If it's going to happen for the third-year quarterback, it should be now. Behind him are the COVID-19 year, the record that wrecked his rookie offseason in training camp, and his first NFL start, the disastrous loss at Kansas City. It was in year 3 when Aaron Rodgers showed his potential, and there's no excuse for Love not to follow suit. Unless, of course, he's not the answer to the question of who will succeed Rodgers. With Rodgers almost certain to set out preseason games, as has been the case in recent years, this is another opportunity for Love. So, Rob's prediction is that Jordan Love excels. But he also mentioned in the same breath, too, like, this has to be the year that he has to excel. And I think that's another thing a lot of people kind of forget about Aaron Rodgers is that Aaron Rodgers, all of a sudden, year 1, we didn't see glimpses right away. Year 2, we didn't see glimpses of what he was going to be. At least from our side, we didn't see it. What we saw in preseason, what we saw, what reporters were writing about, the first couple of years, it wasn't there. It wasn't there. Now, Aaron didn't have like a start like Jordan Love did. He came in some mop-up duties and that, and the big one finally was that Cowboys game. Remember on Thursday night when Favre went out with an injury, and that was kind of our first glimpse, at least from a fan perspective, what Aaron Rodgers potentially could be. But I don't think anybody really expected Aaron Rodgers to go out there and do what he's accomplished in his career so far. I mean, if anybody thought after 2005 that Aaron Rodgers was going to be a 4-time MVP, set these records for quarterback ratings and touchdown to interception ratios and all that, well, I want you to buy my lottery tickets for me. I don't know of anybody who would have said that. But this is a big year for Jordan Love, but also for Green Bay, for Goody, for that entire coaching staff to kind of like, they've got to answer the question, is Love the future? This is big for Love to go out there in the preseason. And I know, like, preseason, it doesn't tell you everything, right? Because Brett Hundley had great preseason numbers. And I'm not trying to pick on Brett Hundley, but Brett Hundley had great preseason numbers. There's a reason why Brett Hundley was traded from Green Bay. And Brett Hundley got a lot of playing time in a regular season, too, when Aaron was hurt. Brett Hundley got some playing time. They saw enough of Brett Hundley to be like, no. We, as fans, we don't want to see Jordan Love on the field in the regular season unless it's mop-up duty or the game's out of reach. Because that means there's something wrong with Aaron Rodgers or, he's hurt or something like that. 12 gives the Packers the best chance to win a Super Bowl. So Jordan Love, his main thing is he has to go out and dominate practice. And before anybody's like, practice? Well, you hear a lot of these players talk about, well, it's in practice that they get more out of it than the preseason games. Preseason, there's no scheming. Defenses aren't like disguising anything. They're not doing all that. Jordan Love just has to go out and dominate practice. But yes, he has to go out and dominate preseason too. He just has to dominate and play well in everything that he does. The spotlight is bigger on Jordan Love this year because it's put up or shut up time. Whether it's for, Green Bay thinking, all right, we've got our guy in 2 years, or, hey, trade, price went up a little bit. It all depends on when Aaron's done. I think Aaron's done in at least 2 years. Maybe this is his last year, but I think 2 years maybe at max. But this is the year that Green Bay's got to decide for themselves, are we going to hold on to Love or not? Because they got to pick up that fifth-year option after this year. So it's big training camp, big preseason for both the Packers and Love. That question has to be answered. It has to be answered. And Love has to take advantage of the opportunity. And maybe we'll see it in the preseason, but again, for me, it'll always, and again, I'm not trying to knock on Brett Hundley or anything like that, but Brett Hundley, you look at the numbers in preseason, it was good. I think what I want to see from Jordan Love is just being decisive in these games. Decisive in practice. And yeah, you might have to take some shots, take some risks. The one thing with Brett Hundley, it just seemed like it was always like the safe one, right? It was always trying to be too safe instead of taking some shots. Maybe instead of being aggressive at times. And I think, and I don't, and I'm just speculating here, but I think, maybe for some people, and we've kind of compared to your everyday lives, we take the safe route sometimes because, okay, we're not going to lose our job that way. We're not going to lose our spot. We're not going to get in trouble as much, maybe. We're just going to be safe. We talk about it in football games, right? When you play it safe, that's when you lose the game. And I think that's what Brett Hundley, for a lot of times, was just playing it safe. Try not to lose it. Didn't want to screw up. I want to see Jordan Love be aggressive. I want to see him chucking the ball down the field. I mean, I don't want to see him making stupid throws. But I want to see confidence. I want to see confidence in number 10. If he's got a little bit of swag to him, too. It was in person last year, his first preseason game, and I thought he displayed good arm strength. I thought, there was times that he was aggressive down the field. Okay, I came away a little bit impressed with Jordan Love. But then that Buffalo game in the preseason was like a little mixed bag of tricks, and then obviously everybody looks at the Kansas City game. In the Kansas City game, it's like, okay, was that Jordan Love, or was it part of it Matt LaFleur handcuffing it? Okay, we're not going to ask you to do a whole lot. I don't know. But there's no doubt this is a huge training camp in preseason for both Jordan Love and the Packers. His future potentially could be decided with how he looks. Got a couple more things here too from Rob, but we'll maybe take a look at that later. Brewers fans, I want your predictions though. Do the Brewers get it done with the sweep tonight? And Aaron Ashby getting that new deal. If you were Aaron Ashby, you signing that deal? You betting on yourself, or are you taking the guaranteed money? It's like a video. It's like a game show, right? It's like, was it like Deal or No Deal? What was that one with? Was it Howie or whatever was his name? Deal or No Deal with the suitcases. You get $20.5 million guaranteed right now. Potentially could be up to 46 after, if the Brewers pick up your two options. But right now you get 20.5 guaranteed. Do you take that deal, or do you bet on yourself to make more money? It's young in your career. You've only appeared in 31 big league games. What do you do? What would you do? Let me know. There's no right or wrong answer in this thing. Tweet it, text it, Facebook it, YouTube it, however you want to do it. quick break. We'll talk some more baseball coming up in just a few minutes. If you're planning any maybe late last-second summer vacations or some road trips or anything like that, but you got to get your vehicle ready to go, hit the road, ASAP Used Auto Parts, your location, whether you're looking for some new tires, maybe getting an oil change, got to add a battery to that thing or a new battery, or maybe you're looking to save some parts on some auto repairs, ASAP Used Auto Parts, you want to stop right there. We got it all covered for you. Check them out at their new location, 1330 Menominee Street in Eau Claire. You can also visit their website, asapuseautopartsec.com, and you can check out their inventory list. And if maybe they don't have what you're looking for, they will work their butt off to find just what you're looking for too. So ASAP Used Auto Parts, check them out for your oil changes, your tires, your batteries, or saving some money on some auto parts. Just past the bottom of the hour here. So the question thrown out there was, if you were Aaron Ashby, what would you do? You got Aaron Ashby, who, and I get it. Yeah, it's two players on a totally different stratosphere, okay? Totally different. I'm not comparing them in terms of talent. But, you got like Juan Soto, who turns down $440 million for 15 years. Aaron Ashby signs up for 5 years, 20.5 guaranteed, and then potentially could get 2 more years if the Brewers want to give it to him, where he could get, and if he hits all the incentives, 46. Totally two different players and two different circumstances. I get it, but just throwing that out there. But I'll be honest, if I didn't have any representation and if I didn't have an agent in my ear or anything like that, I'd be like, I'd probably take the deal Ashby did too. Because, and I know it's like, I'm just a chicken. I'll admit it. I'm just a chicken. If I had the guaranteed contract and I had some stability, yeah, I'd sign it. And I know, like, in a few years, if I had a lick of talent and I got better and I was outperforming that contract, I'd be like, oh, darn it. Shoot. But words that we can't say on here. I'm a chicken, though. I'd honestly I would have signed it. Be like, all right, I got some guaranteed money now. I got some guaranteed money. Let's do it up. I don't have to worry about a contract. I don't have to worry about, where am I going to be at next year? This, that, the other thing. But that's me because I'm scared, and I wouldn't have the nerves to be like, no, I'm going to hold off and see what next year. Especially like when it comes to a pitcher too, right? Maybe I don't want to jinx anything, knock on wood or anything like that. But it's like, you got some injuries you have to factor in. The big one being like Tommy John, where you're out for a whole year. Then you got the recovery process. Not everybody's going to be like a Verlander that comes back at the age of 38, 39, however old he is, and, was wheeling and dealing. But, yeah, as a youngster who's only made 31 appearances in the big leagues, and I get a guaranteed contract for a few years, yeah, I'd probably take that. I probably would take that. I mean, Juan Soto is completely different in the sense that he's proven himself, and he has proven to be one of the best players in all of Major League Baseball. So he's got a little bit more say than that. But yeah, I'm checking. I'd take it. I would take it. All right, but Brewers, looks like the majority of you going for the sweep. I love it. I like the optimism. Gotta. I'd say it's about 65-35, 65 going with the sweep. 35, the majority of you just saying, it just feels like one of those games, like, first game you win in 13, you win with a little back and forth yesterday. It just kind of seems like it's one of those games that teams kind of fall off and lose. I could see that. But I'm going to be a little optimistic in my approach, and I'm going to go with the sweep. Why not? Why not pick the sweep? 4 games. Brooms out. Take care of business against Mitty. Get an off day on Thursday for a little travel to the East Coast, going up against Boston and this Boston team. I mean, I was reading a little bit earlier this morning. Could Boston now be sellers at the trade deadline? At one point they were in a conversation for a playoff spot, but this might be a big week here or next, maybe that series before the Brewers come to town. Boston might have to ask themselves, are we going to be sellers, or are we going to still try to go for this thing? Because right now there's 3 back from the wild card. I mean, they're not completely out of it. They're not completely out of it, but who knows? Right now in the wild card, you've got Toronto, who's 53-43, Tampa Bay, who's 52-43, Seattle's in there, 51-45, Cleveland, who's going up against Boston. Cleveland and Boston, your next two, and then you got the White Sox on there as well. And don't forget Baltimore, 3.5 back. Not a whole lot has changed, with just a few games in after the All-Star break. Dodgers still doing their thing. Mets still winning their division. Brewers a little bit more of a cushion in the division standings. Thank you, Reds. Atlanta, San Diego, and St. Louis, though the wild card teams, Philadelphia is 1 game back. San Francisco struggling a little bit here after the All-Star break. Well, they were going up against the Dodgers, but they're now 2 back from a wild card spot. Miami 5, and Colorado has dropped down to 7.5 back from a wild card spot. But that's kind of where everything's kind of standing so far. Not a whole lot of changing, especially like even in the AL Central. Minnesota won their last 2, still up in first place in their division, up over Cleveland by 3 games. Got the White Sox 7-3 in their last 10. They've won their last 2 in a row, trying to climb back up in there. But that's kind of where everything stands. But the Brewers are doing exactly what we wanted them to do. Come off in this second half off to a fast start. And they've done that. No question about it. They've done that. So are you kind of like now in a mode of like, okay, it's the final countdown? Like, are you kind of like, okay, they start off 69, they got 66 more. After this, it'll be 65 games. Kind of just like, I just imagine Major League, where they're piece at a time, right? Taking a piece off at a time. Just like, okay, let's get through this. Let's go on a hot streak. Let's go into the postseason on a hot note. But I feel like as soon as like August hits for me is when it's really going to start to kick in. I feel like when the calendar turns to August, it's completely different. Like now you start to do a little bit of a countdown. Now you start to kind of look at, all right, how many games are left? Maybe really looking ahead to some series, maybe doing some scoreboard watching with some other teams. In this case, if you're a Brewers fan, Cardinals, if you're a Twins fan, you're paying attention to what Cleveland and the White Sox are doing. I feel like when that calendar flips, maybe especially right after the trade deadline too, since the trade deadline's August 2nd, as soon as that thing comes and goes, now it's on. Now I feel like it's a little bit of a race to the finish. And you still got the full month of August. You still got the full month of September, and you leak into the beginning of October there. But I feel like that's the race. And for the most part, I mean, some of these races, they won't be decided by then, but it sure seems like they'll be decided by then. Maybe the AL East with the Yankees. I mean, Toronto's 12.5 back. Houston, as good as Seattle, was on that hot streak there. Houston's still 13 ahead. Mets and Atlanta, that's going to be an interesting finish. Obviously, with Milwaukee and the Cardinals. Dodgers, I mean, they're 11.5 up on the Padres. So we'll have a couple of divisions here that be a little bit of a race down to the wire here, but it sure looks like it's just going to be the AL Central, the NL East, and the NL Central as the divisions maybe up in the air for winning that division when it comes to August. Because it sure seems like the for sure's are Dodgers, Yankees, and Astros right now. But I don't know. Maybe we'll start to see some more rumblings and some trade rumors. I just feel like those top teams are kind of waiting on the Juan Soto deal, like if he actually can be dealt or if he actually will be dealt, and is it possible for as much as the Nationals want? Is there a team that's going to be? Is it possible for them to be able to put together a package that will entice the Nationals to say, yes, we have a deal? Then after that, I think maybe the floodgates open and we might see some more wheeling and dealing. And maybe those other teams, too, are waiting for the Nationals to make the first move. You know, I know in the last hour I was talking about this might be an opportunity for the Brewers to kind of sweep under the radar and maybe get some of these other targets that other teams were focused on initially, but now that Juan Soto might be available, they're focusing their direction on them. So this might be an opportunity for the Brewers to kind of come in and get some of those guys. But maybe these other teams too are waiting to see what happens with Juan Soto, because they know whoever gets him, those other teams are going to come calling and maybe a little bit more desperate, and then the price goes up a little bit. So I feel like if Juan Soto does in fact get traded, and we might not know till like the day before, even the day of, it's going to be just a rush, a waterfall, a dam's going to break with all these teams trying to all right, we can't get him. We got to make some other moves. 5 people are going to be on the phone trying to wheel and deal, and it's going to be chaos. It's going to be just absolute chaos to try to get some deals done. That could be the other part too. Brewers maybe would like to sweep in and take advantage of that, but the other teams are like, man, we're going to wait a little bit. Because we know that price we might be able to get a little bit more if we wait a few more days. It's a business. It's business. Just seeing Josiah Anderson, speaking of like training camps opening and kind of wait and seeing what's going to happen, kind of waiting and seeing what's happening with Deshaun Watson, right? Josiah Anderson just tweeted, after telling me early last week a decision was not expected in the Deshaun Watson proceedings last week, a league source says this morning it's possible, not saying anything else. That's all I got right now. Cleveland's waiting on a decision. Fantasy football owners are waiting on a decision. Everybody just kind of waiting right now. But I think we all know he's going to miss some games, right? We know he's going to miss some games. At least some games. Maybe even a year. I don't know. But he'll go to court too, and they'll drag it out and all that stuff. All right, we got to take our final break here. Last call for some predictions for the Brewers and Rockies tonight. Again, majority of you going 6. If I had to wage a guess, about 65% of you, 65% of you going with the Brewers, completing that 4-game sweep. You agree with that or not? Let me know. Okay. Final break. Then we'll clean some stuff up. Hit on some topics we may have missed or want to revisit. That's coming up in just a couple minutes.
You're listening to The Dan Kasper Show.
Do you remember the countless times when you were young and playing in the backyard, daydreaming of morning. Flew on by already here this morning. Let's cover the bases. Obviously, we talked quite a bit about the Brewers and their 3 wins so far against the Rockies. Aaron Ashby getting that new deal, the Hunter Renfro hotness streak. Go with those 3 games. They'll go for the sweep tonight, 7-10. Ashby making the start tonight for the Brewers. Getting ready for Packers training camp to start on Wednesday. Obviously, the news, the big one over the weekend was David Bakhtiari put on the physically unable to perform list ahead of training camp. We'll see in the coming days whether he's had a setback or if this was just a precautionary thing to kind of ease him in to practice in that. We know Packers, especially under Dr. McKenzie, have been cautious over the years over there. We'll see in the next few days here. We'll see if anything's even said, whenever Matt LaFleur talks next or whatever have you. But inching a little bit closer to practice numero uno. Got some stuff planned for when we'll be over there on Wednesday and Thursday. So make sure you are a member of the Sports Talk Nation. It's going to be some exclusive stuff over there. So head to sportstalk1051.com. Sign up for the Green and Gold Chalk Talk newsletter. You'll be able to get it that way. Or you can go to the Nation tab and sign up through that way too. But that's where that exclusive content is going to be for free. But you got to check it out over there. Working on a couple of different things over there. Should be a lot of fun. But yep, Wednesday we'll be literally broadcasting in the shadows of Lambeau Field for Wednesday and Thursday's show. So that'll be a lot of fun checking that out. So hopefully you guys will enjoy it too. Got some stuff planned for that, but should be good. Should be good. I'm anxious to see, obviously the rookies at practice, especially the 2 Georgia rookies, Walker and Wyatt, and the wide receivers. I think we know what to expect from Cobby and Lazard, but this is a big one for Lazard to kind of establish himself if he thinks that he can be a number 1 or if the Packers believe he can be a number 1 wide receiver. This is going to be a big camp and big season for Allen Lazard to really establish himself as that number 1 option. And if Christian Watson, who was placed on the PUP list too, it might be just a day. Who knows? We haven't really heard a whole lot, but there was some reports saying it could be, or that it's going to be sooner rather than later when he's on the practice field. But that also means more opportunities for Romeo Doubs to get some action, moving on up a little bit on the depth chart there. So it's more opportunity for a guy like him to go on there. We've got the 7th round pick from Nebraska, who Aaron Rodgers kind of said, hey, watch out for this guy. He's Samari, remember? Samari Torre. Opportunity for him to maybe get some reps, more reps than what he was originally planned for. And Amari Rodgers and Sammy Watkins. Amari Rodgers and Sammy Watkins. Sammy Watkins going into this thing and trying to have a bounce back career. Amari Rodgers, going in there in his 2nd year and be like, hey, I'm still here. And Danny Davis, remember, former Badger Danny Davis is on this ball club too. Can he make an impact somehow? But I'll be curious to see how the receivers do it, and really how much time these guys will get, maybe with Rodgers, at least right away in camp. But to kind of see all that play out. And I want to see too that this tight end. There's talk about Tyler Davis. His name was brought up quite a bit in the offseason. There was one thing I read that, he was a reason too of many that Rich Bisaccia came over, was a big fan of Tyler Davis. Matt LaFleur talked about Tyler Davis. Goody talked about Tyler Davis maybe being more of a receiving threat. But I want to see these tight ends in action without Tunyon. Can DeGuara take a step? Can he elevate his game with more opportunities? Is Tyler Davis is the talk? Getting too hyped, or is there something to it? We know what to expect from Mercedes Lewis. We know what to expect from him already. But this is an opportunity for DeGuara and Tyler Davis too, with Bobby Tunyon beginning on the PUP list for those guys. And Green Bay needs them. Let's not kid ourselves. The passing offense needs these guys like a Tyler Davis and a DeGuara and some of those receivers that we mentioned. Green Bay's offense needs them to step up and take advantage of these opportunities and run away with those opportunities. And then, of course, how the offensive line is going to shake out with no Bach and no Elton Jenkins, at least at the beginning of training camp. Yash, I would have to imagine, is going to get the first crack at starting left tackle, but be curious where, and it's just depth chart day one, but it's day one of what the coaches think their depth chart would be. Is it going to be Cole Van Lanen? Is it going to be one of those rookies? Who would it be? So, first impressions. That's the big thing. First impressions in the first couple of days over there at practice. And I'm kind of curious to see how Aaron Rodgers kind of treats or what his mindset's going to be. Because, for the last few years, he's had the luxury to really kind of challenge younger corners, younger secondary members on this defense. Like, welcome to the NFL moments. You've had younger corners trying to go up against Devonta Adams one-on-one, and you have Aaron Rodgers targeting you. And we've seen, Aaron making throws in training camp and practice that he probably wouldn't make in the regular season, but really testing out those younger corners, that young secondary. Well, it's a little bit flip-flop this year. Does he still have that mindset? Does he still kind of practice that same way where he's testing out the defense, making sure they're ready to go because he knows that defense is going to be vital, perhaps the biggest key to them winning a Super Bowl, so he wants them to stay sharp? Or does he back off that a little bit because it's younger receivers and maybe just trying to get more of a connection going with those guys and dialing it back a little bit, and then once that connection develops, maybe a little bit more aggressive in that. I don't know, but I'll be curious to see how if we kind of can get a glimpse of what Rodgers' mindset is. I mean, he's obviously comfortable with Allen Lazard and Randall Cobb, but after that, kind of up in the air. Don't know. No, lots of storylines here. And I don't know if we'll necessarily see a lot of scheming in that right away, but how do they utilize A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones? Because I feel like we're going to see both of those guys in the backfield at the same time quite a bit this year. Both for running and receiving. I think they can create some mismatches with those two because they're so different. I mean, they both bring some great things to the table, running the football and receiving the football. But I mean, standing side by side, come on, we know there's a big difference. And I know I've said it before, but I can already imagine. You got those two lined up in the backfield. You motion Aaron Jones out to create a mismatch against a linebacker. So you have an option to try to maybe target Aaron Jones in the passing game against a linebacker, or you take that linebacker out of the box, an extra defender out of the box, and then you just hand the ball off to A.J. Dillon. That means one less defender to try to gang tackle that big man. I'm already kind of imagining stuff like that. So, but that'll come in like September and that. That'll come in September. So, tomorrow we'll still be here in studio before we head off over to Green Bay. So tomorrow we'll do our usual What's Grinding My Gears Tuesday. We'll catch up with the Eau Claire Express too as they look to finish off their second half on a strong note and clinch that playoff spot. But the Express, they'll be back in action, it looks like, on Wednesday here, then a couple of home games on Thursday and Friday. Again, it's our Sports Talk night on Thursday. So if you want those tickets, you have to text the word Express along with your name. So I know what name to put on the envelope when I leave it out by the table at the front of the studio, okay? So text the word Express with your name, and I'll get you 4 tickets, okay? 4 tickets to Thursday night's game for the Express. That's all you got to do. I've got some left. So hopefully we'll see you at the ballpark on Thursday for a little Thirsty Thursday action too. That'll be a lot of fun. But we got that, and we'll catch up with some Badger stuff as we inch closer to the college football season kicking off. RJ Cardinal will be joining us tomorrow. Just kind of we'll start to do some previews and some position previews with the Badger season coming up probably pretty darn quick. I feel like August is just going to fly on by. I feel like August, as soon as we hit that next week, it's just going to cruise on through, and we're going to be in September in full-on football mode. And hopefully the Brewers are still, playing well and clinching a playoff spot. That's going to do it for us. DP and the Danettes are up next. Everybody have a fantastic Monday. Grind it on through. One day closer to the next weekend, right? All right, have a good day. We'll be back at it again tomorrow morning, just past 6 a.m.
You're listening to the Dan Patrick Show on